Hello, I'm Alison Elko Franklin, and I'm a shareholder in the Restructuring and Bankruptcy Practice Group of the law firm Hindenburg Traurig. I would like to share some information with you regarding navigating corporate financial distress during the COVID-19 pandemic. My presentation is split into two parts, or two separate recordings. In the first recording, I'm going to generally review the pandemic's impact on agriculture. Then I'm going to highlight a few of the sectors that have been particularly affected by the pandemic. In the second recording, I will share corporate finance tips and strategies for agricultural businesses navigating financial distress during the pandemic. I've worked with distressed businesses for over 15 years in many different industries. While the focus of my practice has primarily been corporate bankruptcy, I counsel companies on how to act quickly and strategically to have a chance to avoid bankruptcy and build a stronger business. So let's start the presentation now with a look at the pandemic's general impact on agriculture. Coronavirus is just the latest in a string of misfortunes that have disrupted agribusiness and farming for several years. Weather disasters, a trade war, and even before that, commodity prices, which have been below the cost of production. Necessary measures to contain the spread of the virus have resulted in restaurant, school, and institution closures, and farmers losing critical markets and revenue. Food system workers are being laid off or having their hours reduced as retail and wholesale food businesses temporarily close their doors, with others still working at potential risk to their health and safety. Commodity markets for agricultural products are eroding, and market disruptions threaten to restrict access to credit for farmers and ranchers, many of whom are already struggling from a long-term slide in farm income. So let's focus on farming for a moment. Unlike other industries, farmers cannot work from home or remotely, and they cannot virtually plant, tend, or harvest crops. Nor can there be any delay, pullback, or modification of production after the seeds have gone into the ground. The crops come ripe, the cows need to be milked, and the goods must be shipped in a very narrow window of time, or never at all. Another impact is the availability of farmers markets, as some local governments order that they be suspended. Many farmers depend on farmers markets for most of their sales. With restaurant businesses severely cut, farmers who sell meat and produce directly to restaurants may become more dependent on direct-to-consumer sales. Now let's turn to the pandemic's impact on the agricultural workforce. The introduction of COVID-19 into the personnel of a farm or input supply farm will present difficulties, particularly given no other trained personnel are likely to be available. Many farmers are in the at-risk group, being older and perhaps having other factors increasing their health risks. With the suspension of all processing of new non-emergency visa applications in Mexico, U.S. farms and ranches could face a labor shortage at a critical time for planting and harvesting crops, essential to the domestic food supply. U.S. agriculture depends on more than 250,000 H-2A workers every year, and it is crucial that skilled workers can come to work on farms and ranches. All of this disruption is having an impact on agricultural markets. Markets have reacted erratically since COVID-19 concerns have arisen, with equity markets having a large percentage of the changes. Commodity prices are weak, at least by way of comparison to prices before coronavirus concerns. Agricultural futures, which many farmers and ranchers depend on to lock in better prices later, are down as well. That shows a concern that consumers will buy less in the coming weeks and months as unemployment worsens. It also reflects worries about whether overseas markets will return, as economies around the world are reeling from the virus outbreak and restrictions to contain it.